Okay,
Wow. So,
we're
hi,
on.
Gerry. We're on.
Hi,
How are you,
Camila.
Gerry?
Good, good. It's so great to see you once again. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
your smile is precious.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. Wow, I cannot believe we are doing this again for the channel. I have told you like several times that I was and still am obsessed with our first video. I keep maybe I have
Oh,
yes, I might watch it weekly. I
is
cannot
that
get
right?
yes,
Oh, I'll have to go
can get
back
enough of
to
it.
it.
It's precious. Amazing.
Okay.
So thank you. It means a lot that we are here again to talk about some other meaningful thing for both of us.
hmm
So
hmm
thank you so much.
So
So
today's subject is A Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong.
yes, yes.
Were
And
you familiar with the song before I presented it to you?
I was. I mean, I think it's not possible to live in this world and not
Oh,
have come across that song at least a
okay.
dozen, a dozen times.
Uh-huh.
But there are so many things I didn't know about that song that I had like the privilege to understand and um, get acquired. Can I say acquired to get to know? Yeah, I mean to get in contact.
You acquired new knowledge.
Yeah, so I acquired
Okay.
some knowledge about the song. I think the most interesting thing that I've learned. I mean, I've learned so many things about the song. Thank you for all the videos and the material that you have sent my way. But I thought it was written by the performer, but it was not.
Oh, no, no. Let me just turn off that
Hmm.
telephone. hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess every performer has many songs that are written for them.
yeah.
But you have to say that it
Hmm.
was, I think it was a song that was written for him,
Yes,
or
yes.
someone like him
Hmm.
who suffered a lot and still
Yeah.
sees the world in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
hmm
Amazing. Yes. So, yeah. And before I knew it was this optimistic song about the world, but I didn't know what there was behind it. So,
hmm
yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what is the message for you in the song? What is he
Uh,
trying to communicate with it?
well, I can tell you it means so much to me
Yeah.
that um, I've asked that when I die, I want that music played.
Wow. Yeah. So it means a lot to you, and thank you for
Oh,
sharing.
yeah. I think the world is always struggling, and we as individuals struggle with the world. And, someone like Louis Armstrong went through so many hard times in life. And it presents this message that no matter how bad things get, you can find the beauty, and that's so important. Um, yeah, and it's not less important as we advance technologically, and because we're still experiencing crisis after crisis.
Yeah.
So it's important that we keep our faith. And
Yeah.
it's not just what he talks about. There's not a word mentioned about religion.
No.
It's not necessarily a religious faith. It's just um, um, a power to bring it generates a certain internal power to deal with the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
As I was researching and yeah, going through the song over and over, I was listening on repeat. I came across these writings. Louis Armstrong, he would say it
Oh,
before he would sing, he would perform the
uh-huh.
song. He would say, so people come up to me and say, why are you singing about what a wonderful world? This world, it's not
It
wonderful.
sucks.
This
Yeah.
world sucks. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he would answer, it seems to
Mhm.
me that in the world that's bad, but it's what we are doing to it.
Huh?
And all I'm saying is, what a wonderful world would it be if we give it a chance, if we give it love. And then he would end
Right.
with love, baby, love. That's the secret.
Oh, well, there you go. I
Yeah.
guess it's a lot like the Beatles' Let It Be.
Hmm.
You know, it's in the same vein.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you shared that. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah. No, me neither. So,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of courage to love, especially when you had been through so much as he had.
Right.
And it, it is difficult because it is about racism as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
The
Right.
song
Racial
and
injustice.
injustice and war and all the bad that humanity had,
Right. And
genocide
right, right. And he suffered a lot from early poverty.
already. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So, on a personal level,
Huh?
I've known you for maybe 4 years now, or three to four
Seems
years.
like, yeah, just about
Yeah.
4 years.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And you are the most optimistic human being I have ever met. So as I was listening that song on repeat, I was like, that's how he sees the world. And I know you have been through a lot of pain in your life. You have suffered, but you have this loving view to, like, you are always connecting, you are always making friendships. And I know you have like a lot of teachers that you have never met in person, but you have, like, how can I say this, feelings, good intentions. You show them so much love, and I know some of your
Mhm.
teachers, Paula, João Pedro, and others,
Wow.
Carol, João, and others, and
Uh,
Eliakim, for example. And they all love you, and they all consider you a friend. And how
oh.
how do you do this? Like, how can you connect? And there is this sentence in the lyrics,
Oh.
I see friends shaking hands, saying,
Hmm.
"How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." So how how did that came about? How did you become that person that it's not afraid of showing love, of
Hmm.
showing what you feel and being honest with people and connecting?
Uh,
Was it always like this?
I think the basis was always there. My father was an extremely curious person, very much like myself. He was culturally curious. Um, he was always inviting. He was actually very, I don't know if you call him shy, but he was a typical engineer.
Hmm.
You know, he was a studious person, serious, but he loved nature and he loved people. Um, I don't know if I mentioned to you. So we were probably the most educated family at least in our immediate, in the blocks immediately around us, maybe one of the most educated families in the neighborhood. But my father grew up poor, and he liked working class neighborhoods. He didn't want to live in a rich area. Um, you know, he liked being among the people, so to speak. And people on the block knew that they could come to him. So there were a few men that felt that like my dad was his best friend. Of course, he couldn't be everyone's best friend, um, but yeah, they would come to him with mechanical problems, engineering problems. Um, he had a supervisee at work, a Chinese gentleman who was having a problem with his wife, and he brought his wife to him, and they sat together at the table to talk about marital issues. Um, and so he was always willing to be that coach,
Hmm.
and uh, he did the same thing with scouting. And my mom was an equally sweet person, um, more physically affectionate.
Hmm.
So I was really fortunate in that way. Um, and my sister followed in that path.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very, very lucky, so that no matter what happened outside the family, I still had that root to fall back on, uh, as a, as a foundation.
Mhm.
Um, um, but I think it took a while for me to come into my own. I had psychological problems going on, and stresses in school and such. Um, I think, I mean, the therapeutic process was great because you can feel all sorts of, you can feel that the world can be right, but how do you make it right? How do you make it right inside? And most adolescents really don't know how to make it right inside. Um, so it was a process as
It was a
well.
process, yes. Do you think that it has something to do also with the fact that you was a counselor? You got in contact with people suffering and you helped them through their pain and it made you become more
Hmm.
compassionate or
Um, yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's easier to give up your own anger when you realize how many other people have it much worse, and have
Mhm,
their anger that they're trying to overcome.
mhm,
Um, I was much, I guess my family and I were always much more focused on other people than on ourselves.
mhm,
Um, and yeah, the more you meet people, especially in therapy, the more you realize how imperfect we all are. And then you learn how to start laughing about it.
mhm,
Um, the world's not going to crush in on you if you can just step away from it long enough,
mhm,
to begin to laugh and recover.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I guess you gave me an advice long time ago. I think you told me to do volunteer work.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, and I did, and I want to keep doing because once you see how other people have it, sometimes so much more, so much worse than you do, it makes
Hmm.
you become more thankful and grateful for what you have and to see your problems from a different perspective. Yeah, and there was a student. I think sometimes I don't know the divine, but people in front in our lives to teach us something. And then I had this student for a brief period, but he told me something that will make me always remember him. His name was Kelly,
Uh-huh.
and he told me that um, he lived by this philosophy: uh, life is chaotic, be kind. That
Oh.
and then I thought, yes, because it is chaotic. Yeah, people are going through all sorts of
Hmm.
problems. There are
Right.
a lot of things happening. If you
Hmm.
don't make other people suffering worse,
Right.
don't,
You haven't been in their shoes. You don't. Yeah.
yeah,
You don't know what they're going through.
yeah, be kind to everyone you meet. You don't know
Mhm.
what they're going through. You don't know what their shadows are. You just assume they had survived the worst. They are standing in front of you,
Okay.
but they had gone through the worst that there is in life and they survived that. So you don't want to make them suffer anymore. So and be kind. And then I thought, yeah. So maybe was that what Louis Armstrong was singing about?
Mm.
Like be appreciate what it
Right.
is, what there is. The world is not
Yeah.
entirely bad.
No.
Yeah.
No. One thing that I think about, it's a little bit of a different theme, but
Mm,
um, when I think about African American music,
yeah.
in earlier stages, there was, maybe Louis Armstrong is an exception, but uh, a lot of these vaudeville players or players who sang and performed in front of white people, they had to show a happy face.
Mm.
If you showed anger, you could be dead. Um, and then you go into the age of soul music and jazz, and there's this focus on more on the pain. And then after a little bit of and combined with rock and roll, you get to like hip hop, and there's all this anger that comes out in more contemporary African American music about life in the ghetto and the hard side of life. And I hope it you see it going back to where it was with songs like Happy,
Hmm. Yeah.
that everyone in the world sings.
Hmm.
Um, um, but I think at that point in time, I don't know what Louis Armstrong would do with anger. Um, it's very dangerous. I just watched this video a few minutes ago talking about how he put out all these nightclubs that were owned by the mafia, and he had to strike this delicate balance with them. And then at some point, he went to Europe, maybe possibly to escape dealings with the mafia. And earlier on, singers like him would have to make decisions about where to play and what to play in the South, and he'd find himself in jail for sitting next to a white person, even though it was um, his manager.
Wow.
Um, and and so, uh, I think Louis Armstrong was a genuinely positive person, but I think he must have struggled an awful lot to to bury anger
Hmm.
and to put it aside.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with a Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was not a person. He felt anger. He just channeled it. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was reading about that. That's very interesting. I was reading that some of his fans that wouldn't be able to attend to his concerts because they were not white,
mhm.
they would get angry at him. Like,
Yeah, how
how do
could
you
you?
do this? How could you do this? Go sing in front of them and put on that happy
Right.
face while they're doing what they're doing. And
Hmm.
yeah, it must be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yes.
and but he had a great influence. He was one of those early African Americans that broke the race barrier, and it often came through music. I think more so than sports.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So something else that I read was that the song was released in 1987 or 1988,
It,
1960, sorry, 19,
much earlier. Uh-huh.
1967, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But it became a hit in the UK, but not in the US
Right.
until
Oh,
1987,
much later.
20 years later. And I was
Mhm.
wondering, when was the first time you heard that song? Can you remember? Was in when
No, I
it was,
can't. No,
no?
no, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see that because, well, I mean, there was, a peace movement, but it didn't, I guess maybe it didn't fit in an America that was in the middle of racial conflict and the Vietnam War. Um, Maybe it was just too much optimism.
Yeah.
It just didn't. I think people in the '60s were really coming to grips with reality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it takes a more mature. You need to be at a more mature place personally and historically for you to. I couldn't imagine Jews in the Holocaust singing "What a Wonderful World." you know, uh, so I
No.
think you have to get a little bit of a distance from it to look back on
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
and get perspective.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Yes. but it is, do you say in English a temporary song? A timeless, maybe it's better.
Timeless. Yeah,
A
right.
timeless,
Timeless.
a
Right.
timeless song.
It
Because
is timeless.
it
Yes.
is timeless, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been
In a,
recreated in so many versions. It'll
yeah,
never die.
yeah, yeah. I've heard also, I've read also that it was like the most covered song in the story of music,
Covert.
but covered by other artists. Yeah.
Covert means like
No,
hidden.
cover. No, no, no. I mean, no, 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 no.
Covered.
Covered. Yes, covered.
Uh,
It was covered by a lot of artists. It is the
mhm.
most covered song
Oh,
ever, and I understand why it is. It is amazing. It might be the most beautiful song
right.
ever
And it's so
written.
simple. It's so
It
simple.
is so simple. It is so simple. So you know that I tend to get on a personal level. You know me. So I have a question for you.
Sure, sure.
What So he is bringing all this nature. He's talking about the trees of green, the roses, the blue
Right.
skies, and the clouds of white, and the rainbows. So for you, what makes your world wonderful now?
Uh, all my friends and my talkie and my
Yeah.
family. Yeah, my family, my personal family has been wonderful. And seeing the grandchildren, seeing how, the good people they are and how they're continuing my legacy through their own good works. And yes, back to Italki, the, um, this international connection on a very deep level is such an enriching experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did I
Amazing.
answer your question?
Perfectly. Yes. Perfectly. Yes. So it is for you, it is the connections, the human connections that we
Yeah,
build.
I'm one of those networkers, and I think that's one of the things we have in connection because I'm always seeing. Yeah, I think you're the most connected italki teacher. You've had discussions and videos and lessons with maybe hundreds of italki teachers and
Mhm.
students, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the most, but I love people. I love to know the story and to know the struggle. I think it helped me, but sometimes it can be too much. I must admit
Mhm.
that all my conversations, I've never could. Even when I was a child, I was always complimented on how profound and deep I was. I remember that. I remember that once. I lived in a small city, São Romão,
Yes,
and
yes.
people they would come to, they still do that nowadays.
Uh-huh.
They go to priest. Do you say priest? To
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they knock on your door and they ask, can I give you the word of God? And then I would be
Oh,
there.
these aren't priests. Oh,
No,
here it's missionaries
missionaries, all sorts of missionaries. You can imagine they go door to door, and I
Yeah,
was there. And then I remember once there was this nun from the Catholic church.
from
So I guess I was 8 or 9, I don't remember, but she came from, I don't remember the city, but she was from another city. And then we were talking, she was telling me all about the church and how 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 they perform this job of like cat catalyzing catalog
Catholicizing.
Catholicizing people,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and how she left her city. I don't remember where she was from, but
Oh.
how grateful she was that she was doing that job. And then she said, would you like to do that? Would you like to come with us?
Uh,
And then I say,
oh.
yes, yes, mom,
Oh,
mom.
oh, she had you convinced to be a missionary.
Yeah, and then but she told me that if I was a missionary, I would get to travel the world and talk to people and enter their houses and talk to them. And I was like, no, yeah, that's the job for me. I mean, I didn't say that, but I thought, no, mom, I want to do that. But then she said, no, 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 no. You cannot go until you're 15. Only with 15 you can
Oh,
come and study in the, I don't know how they call the
uh,
the place. And
yeah.
then we got in contact for many years by letters. She would
Is that
write,
right? You
yes, she
stayed
would
in
write
contact?
for years. But yeah, when I was 14, I didn't want to go anymore because
Thank, woo,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
no, yeah,
I'm so
because
happy.
and I discovered that I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to get married, and like I would have to,
Uh-huh.
to live a life. I mean, not,
Oh,
yeah. So when I was 14, I thought, no, actually, it's not the place for me.
not quite right.
Not quite right. But for years, I had that in my
Now that
mind.
love is a value. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so since I was a child, I love connecting with humans
Mm,
and people and learning their story. And I keep hearing, I don't know, people keep telling me it's easy to talk to you, it's easy to share things with you. And sometimes I
yes.
get students apologizing because by the end of the lesson, they might realize that they have shared things. That for me is
Oh,
normal. We are sharing normal. But then they're like, oh, sorry, was that too much? Sorry. And I was like, no, it was perfect.
did I burden you?
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
I was like, no, but I mean,
Oh,
that's the kind of
right. You
connections
made
that I
that
want to
very
have.
clear in your first video for italki that you're open to talking about any subject.
I
That's what
am.
attracted me.
Yeah, I am. So are you, right? You
Yeah.
are very deep. You can talk about anything, right? And I'm sure you have had wonderful conversations with other teachers,
Mhm.
with Paula especially, maybe,
Paula. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and
Paula
others.
has had an interesting life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So back when I mean, I know it's personal, but I wanna ask you this. So that'll be my
Shoot.
last question, I
Go
guess.
ahead. Okay.
Uh, when we started this conversation, you said that you want Wonderful Life playing at your funeral.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know why. I know it is because it's a wonderful, wonderful song,
Hmm.
and I want to know why. And also, what would you, what would you, what would, what it, what would you want your legacy to be like when people are there
Oh.
and they are talking about you? I mean, that's a very weird question, isn't it? So, your grandsons and your friends and that song playing, what would be the message, the legacy that you want?
I think the message would be that I wasn't perfect, um, but you know, um, I want I want the people there to take a final message that in everyone's imperfect world we can find perfection.
Wow. Wow. You thought of it before, or is it the first time you?
That's
Because
the
it was
first time I put it
it
into
was
words.
brilliantly said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think out of the two of us, you're the one that should write a book.
Oh, I might. I might. I Jerry, I cannot stress this enough. I'm in such a good place in my life right now. I mean, I still have a
Oh,
lot
that's
of work to do,
wonderful.
but you are the main reason, and I'm not kidding. I remember so many times where I was in deep suffering, sorrow, and you were there, like holding my
I was there.
hand.
I was
Yeah,
there with
holding
you.
my hand. Not
I was there with you
literally.
across the internet. Yes.
Yes, and I will never ever forget. Uh, I've told you about this moment that I was in Montes Claros, not really sure of renting the apartment in Montes Claros. I was just
Right. And we were
like,
talking about purgatory.
yes, and you told me, and then I close my eyes, and then I remember the square I was sitting on my
Uh,
way to the agency to get the keys and sign the contract that I wasn't sure if I should go back to
oh.
São Romão, if I should travel the world,
Uh-huh.
if I should come to BH. I didn't know anything.
Uh-huh.
But I remember I called you and you told me Montes Claros was a purgatory, and you made that a metaphor that I told my
Uh-huh.
psychologist later,
Uh-huh.
and he thought it was brilliant, and he said he was going to use it his other patients. You remember that you told me about the cake? You made that analogy that a cake is you cannot put the topping,
Icing
the
on the
icing,
candle.
but you have to have the structure. The cake has to have. I don't remember the words you
You're right.
used.
The
It
cake
cannot
is the
be only icing.
foundation.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And I was like,
Uh-huh.
Jerry, but I cannot stay here. I want to travel the world. And then you told me the time will come, but
Right.
please build a foundation. Stay there and then you'll be ready. And those almost 2 years in Montes Claros, they made a difference.
Mm.
And so I am forever grateful. You saved my life.
That's so
Literally,
sweet.
like, no, yeah, it's true. It's true.
I don't know what to say. I
Me
just,
too.
I
I'm too
love
much. I'm
you.
intense.
I
I'm
really, really.
intense. I love you too.
Oh, I know, I know.
Yeah.
There are no words to
Yeah.
describe.
Our friendship is precious. And
So it is.
yeah, so I'm very glad we have this on tape, recorded.
Okay. Okay. And it's going up on YouTube.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Let's do it again. We'll have to find another theme, or we don't need a theme,
Yeah.
but
No, we don't need a
it's
team.
great
We
to
can do it
have
spontaneously.
theme. It's great to have a
Theme.
theme.
It's great to have a
Yeah.
theme. Yeah,
Okay. And I look forward to studying poetry with you,
yes, it
right?
will be
In May.
May. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for the invite, and I'll see you and
Okay.
Paula. And I wish you a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. We'll talk soon. Até
Yeah.
mais.
Até
Tchau,
mais.
querida. Bye bye.
Tchau.